This is Science Bridge webinar series, and my guest today is Karen Vickers. Karen runs an NGO called Nassani Trust, which focuses on science leadership training. Over the years, her passion has shifted from teaching undergraduate science to leadership coaching for science students. Therefore, Nassani Trust is a key partner in the Skakusa Science Leadership Initiative, designing and implementing scientific courses that range from high school level through to industry professionals and everything in between. And I think Karen will be a great addition to our coaching network as a facilitator. So welcome, Karen.
Thank you, Martina. Thanks for having me.
Now, I think you as a leadership coach who has a science background and has a science teaching background will have a lot of understanding when it comes to coaching. So I'm really glad that you're getting on board with us. So let's start maybe a bit about your background. So you've been teaching science before.
Yeah, I am a conservation biologist and ecologist by training. I have been working for about 16 years teaching undergraduate and postgraduate students, but not in a traditional academic university setting. So I was working for an organization that was running study abroad programs for American universities based in South Africa. And then that led me to founding our NGO in 2013 called the Nassani Trust, because we saw the impact of the experiential learning courses that we were running for these international students. And we wanted to be able to offer the same impact to South African students. So our NGO in Nassani focuses on science training, science and environmental leadership training for South African students.
Well, that's great to hear that you focused on South African students now when you're in South Africa. So can you tell us what does it mean to have leadership training in science?
Yeah, I think what my experience of teaching undergraduate students in the field and away from the classroom taught me is about the value of the non-academic learning that happens or that can happen when you put yourself in different situations. And in particular, one of those situations is when you take yourself outside of your comfort zone. So on these study abroad programs, we would travel around the country for 100 days, visiting different protected areas. And it was very intensive academically. But so much more came out of the program because we weren't just having lectures and writing reports and doing assignments. The students were engaging in local communities. They were having difficulties amongst themselves, and they were experiencing incredible places and spaces and people. And they also got the opportunity with the faculty who joined for the program to get a lot of one-on-one attention. And I was able to see how that allowed them to grow and flourish. And ultimately, these programs led to these students having many transformational experiences. And so that led me to being more curious about the idea of holistic education and how when we teach, we're not just teaching our heads, but we're engaging our hearts and we're engaging our hands. And so it's about being really like socially and emotionally engaged in everything that you do when you learn for a deeper learning experience. And subsequent up through exploring these avenues of how to create these transformational experiences, really examining leadership and what leadership is, and learning how to design courses that incorporate a whole person and their learning experience so that they grow as leaders. And so that's how I've shifted into this leadership coaching space, which is really just about getting individuals to see their own inherent potential, to step into their purpose, and to kind of connect authentically to what it is that they want to achieve in life, and help them map how to go about doing that.
Okay, fantastic. So what is leadership? Because for now you didn't explain that part. So what is leadership
Yes.
according to you?
Yeah. So, I mean, leadership is an incredibly broad term, and you could ask 15 different people and get 15 different answers. And, often I'll sit with students and we'll make these lists, and some of the characteristics are often similar and some of them are very different. And I think what I see is that there's a shift happening in the way we define leadership. So historically, people would define leaders as managers, somebody in a position of authority who is kind of steering the ship. And where we find ourselves these days is people are talking about leadership as a much more, as a much deeper, a deeper definition of who a person is that is a leader. And ultimately, at the very base of it, a leader is somebody who has influence and who influences other people. And so most of us, whether we want to be, in the top echelons of whatever we're doing, we want to influence other people in our professional and our personal lives. So we have desires to be leaders in one area or another. And then beyond that, the question that I think is really important to ask leaders these days is, from what place are you leading? So what is the interior condition inside of yourself that allows you to have a vision and to guide others? And so I think leadership is a lot about introspection and reflection, really around self-awareness and managing self and motivating self and connecting to vision and authenticity. So it's a very, it's a much more, I'm struggling to find the word to articulate, but you see it doesn't just incorporate the skills that a person has, it actually incorporates who you are as an individual that allows you to be a leader. And then above that, then there's a whole lot of skills that are necessary for you to be a leader. And that's where these more traditional definitions come in, like, how good are your communication skills, and how good are you at bringing other people on board with your vision and convincing them of your vision? Are you good with conflict resolution, and you can handle managing people very well, and you're honest and you have integrity, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of skills that you can kind of put on the top layer. And I find that those are kind of the easier things to learn in leadership that people can kind of collect along the way. But really at the heart of it is what is your interior condition, and from which place are you leading?
So you seem to have two different types of leadership that you're working on. It's internal and external leadership. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So I call it horizontal and vertical leadership. So if you think of a horizontal plane, and you can make movements along a horizontal plane, and this is where you might identify different skills that you think you need to be a leader in your workplace. And for different individuals, that's going to be different. For different jobs, that will be different. But you can identify what those are and figure out how to learn them. And that's often just about practice, maybe a bit of mindset, and maybe a bit of training. So for instance, you can practice giving oral presentations, and you can become a very good communicator, public speaker, if that is something that is important for your leadership journey. So these are moves that kind of keep us on a horizontal plane. They're important for leadership, but they're not the moves that are really going to sort of catapult us into the next level in our careers or in our personal lives, or moving forward with our purpose. And so that's what I call vertical leadership. So vertical leadership is when we have deep changes within ourselves, the way we see the world, the way we see our role and our potential in the world shifts within inside of us. And so we have a deep growth and a deep evolution. And what that does, that shift in vertical growth, allows us to really step into our vision and our purpose. And when we're in that place, leadership comes very easily from that place. And then it's much easier to see, okay, well, these are the horizontal skills, and I can learn those very easily, but I'm leading from this very heart-centered place of authenticity. And that's when people really identify with your purpose and your vision, and they want to join you on that journey.
Well, that sounds very interesting. I'm just thinking, if we are talking about scientists, often scientists are introverts and they struggle with the communication skills and expressing themselves and having more social skills. So is that what you're basically training scientists in?
Yeah, so skills like communication skills, or having the confidence to stand up and share your ideas and your visions, these are often, or the idea that we can't do these things or that we're not good enough to do these things are often habits of thought. So they're ways that they're paradigms that we have within ourselves that control our behaviors. And once they are easy to shift if you are willing to acknowledge that they are just your paradigms, and most of us as scientists know very well that our brains are plastic. We have neuroplasticity and we can change. We can change the way our brains are wired and the way they work. And so if you apply that to yourself, you can change those habits and patterns of thought. And so maybe a better way to think about it or to articulate it is that if we think about what it means to be a leader, or if you're thinking that you want to grow in your career, that you want to make some moves, but you're not quite sure how to do it, exactly what you need to do, we can boil it down at its most basic level to a series of behaviors, okay? So you look at any leader in any space, in any workplace, and what makes them a good leader, it's all about their behaviors. So what drives a person's behavior? I don't know if you've ever heard of the iceberg model for human behavior, right? So humans are like an iceberg. At the very tip of the iceberg, the only part of an iceberg that's above the surface of the water it's about 10% of the iceberg, and then 90% of the iceberg is sitting underneath the water. So humans are the same. 10% is the behaviors, the way we act in the world. 90% of humans, of what drives us, is sitting under the surface, and it's not obvious to each other what drives another person's behaviors. But what lies under that surface is our thoughts, our emotions, our beliefs, and our values. And at the very base of the iceberg is our basic human needs. Most of us are aware of Maslow's hierarchy of needs and how it allows a person to have needs met, and then to reach a point where we start to self-actualize. So if we can think about the connection between how we're behaving and what our values and beliefs are, and start examining those values and beliefs that are actually driving our behaviors, we can really get to the root cause of why we do what we do. And then we can start changing how we do what we do. That is the essence of the training that I provide, is really unpacking the beliefs and the values that lie beneath our behaviors and the way we think about ourselves.
So when you have a new client, how do you approach the new client? Sorry.
How do I approach a new client? So I think what's important is to set out a roadmap of what that growth journey, or what the journey that the client has identified they want to go. So what is the change, the deep shift that they want to undergo to achieve what it is they're trying to achieve? So they have to identify their goals. And then secondary to that is also understanding where they are right now. So in any map, if you're going to have a map, you have to know where you're going, to know where you are. And people often overlook this idea of, where am I right now? Because I'm in such a hurry to get where I'm going. I can see where I want to go over there, and I'm really impatient to get over there. And I get frustrated because I can see the destination, but I just can't figure out why I can't get there. And I think the really important aspect of that is looking at where you are right now, and what are the challenges and the barriers that are stopping you from getting to where you want to go. And a lot of that is where the self-introspection and understanding your own paradigms, your own habits of thought, and how to get out of your own way, because often we are our own biggest barriers to growth. So that would be the first thing I would do. The second thing in the roadmap is to then map out what are the skills and the kind of growth I need to have in order to get where I want to go. And once we've identified those, some of those will be horizontal leadership skills, but we'll identify hopefully within that also some vertical leadership growth or some vertical evolution that needs to happen. And then then I have a process that I take individuals through, a series of sessions that I take individuals through, which allows people to connect their behaviors, thoughts, beliefs, and values, and really unpack how that's driving what they're doing at the moment and impeding them from getting where they want to go. But also it's the key to unlocking the growth challenge. And it's a very powerful process. People who undergo this process find it incredibly transformational. And I thought if you wanted to, we could do a little fun exercise right now just to demonstrate how it works.
No, absolutely. Just let's go. Let's see.
Okay. So what you need to do is you just need to tell me, what are 3 of the most important values to you that drive you in your life?
Values. Honesty.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it as a value, but caring for other people. That can be a value.
Yeah. Yeah. Caring for others.
And personal growth.
Personal growth. Cool. And so when you look at these 3 values, you see them as being, I'm guessing you see them as having a very positive influence in terms of the way they drive how you behave, right? So I'm guessing if honesty is a very important value to you, that you're honest with everybody that you meet, and you probably find it quite upsetting if somebody's not honest with you.
Yes, unfortunately.
No, I can sympathize, because honesty is also, in the past, has been an incredibly important value to me. Okay, so the next step that we're going to do is just take a look at, we'll just maybe do it with one and then see how we go. So let's take honesty. What is a belief that you have about honesty?
I'm a dreamer, so I believe that in the honest world, we would be able to push the world further. But the dishonesty actually holds us back.
Okay. So could I phrase that as honesty is needed for, would you say, for growth, for progress?
Yes, for growth, for progress, yes.
Okay, so the belief is honesty is needed for growth and progress. So if you look at that belief, let's also just flip it on its side just for a minute. If someone is not honest, if a person is not honest, what belief do you have? It can even be about yourself. We always make this about self. We don't make it about other people. So if I am not honest, like if you didn't have honesty as a value, what kind of person would that make you?
Well, I think I wouldn't be able to build relationships with other people. I'm not good at lying, so.
So you wouldn't be able to build relationships?
No.
Okay. So I'm going to write that as another. Sorry, say that again.
Meaningful relationships.
Meaningful relationships. Okay. So without honesty, I cannot have meaningful relationships. Okay, so we've got 2 beliefs there. Without honesty, I cannot have meaningful relationships, and honesty is needed in the world for growth and progress. So if you think about this belief, how has it helped you in life? How has it accelerated your growth and your achievements and your ability to move forward in the world?
Well, I had to be honest with myself in the moments that were difficult for myself, when I realized that, okay, this is not what I can do, and honestly, what else I can do with my life, when I had massive transformational changes. So yeah, that's when honesty helped me to get to different points, to make shifts in my life.
Yeah. So you see how it's really helped you grow. And what about in your professional life, being an honest person? How's it helped you?
Honestly, in professional life, I think, again, you know, in science especially, I believe in honesty. So if you want to create meaningful results for science, you can't hide from the truth. If your experiment failed, you can't fabricate the results, because that's where you hinder science.
Yeah. So it's driven you to behave with integrity in your scientific career.
Yes,
Yeah?
pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. What about how it hasn't served you? That the belief that without honesty, I cannot have meaningful relationships, and honesty is needed for growth and progress in the world. Is there a way that honesty has been a break in your life or has not served you at
Well,
times?
no, obviously we all have relationships that because of honesty, they fell apart, I guess. So sometimes the honesty could be too brutal for people to handle. And that
Mm-hmm.
broke certain relationships in life. And then again, if you think about it, that's life, it's growth. And even if those relationships fell apart, it's maybe something that had to
Mm-hmm.
happen in that point of my life.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Can you think of anything else?
Mm. No, not at this stage, actually.
Okay. So the idea that without you being honest, you can't have meaningful relationships, and honesty is needed for growth and progress. What I see in those beliefs, which are probably very common beliefs, so anyone listening to this webinar is probably going to identify with what you're saying. But what they've done is they've created a boundary, right? And so in this boundary, honesty is good, and anything outside of that boundary is not good. And so I can't say for you on your own personal journey how honesty may have manifested in your life, the beliefs that you have. It's not the value itself, it's the belief behind the value, and how it has led to situations in your life that are not good. So the one you identified is that sometimes maybe it's too brutal for some people, and maybe it creates tension sometimes in your relationships. That's potentially one. The other is that I see that could be the potential is how these boundaries. Often, what happens is we we create judgments. So if I sense that you're not being honest, and honesty is important value to me, then I'm going to have some judgments around you and who you are as a person if I don't think you're being honest. And so those beliefs sometimes can then also get us into situations that are not serving us in terms of our growth and reaching our potential, because if we're stuck in a place of judgment, or we're stuck in a place of fear that someone's not being honest with us or something, it can actually hold us back. And so what we do, so that's just a brief glimpse into the way you can unpack your different values. But if you go through the process of looking at a series of them and unpacking the beliefs and how it served you and hasn't served you, often what you see is a little golden thread that runs through your belief system. And that helps us to get down to the core of the beliefs you have about yourself that are not serving you. So that's just a little glimpse into how a couple of the sessions work. We use a process which is called iceberg coaching, where we actually start with certain behaviors, thoughts, emotions, what happens when we think different thoughts and feel different emotions, how those are linked to our values and beliefs, and then getting down to the heart of the matter about what we believe. And then when we come back up the other side of the iceberg, it's about setting intentions for new ways of seeing things or new ways of being in the world that would allow us to unlock some growth for ourselves.
No, that sounds very interesting, and I think very useful for personal growth, as you're saying, whether it's as a leader or the personal leadership. So how how we go with ourselves and our own values through life, and how those values are supposed to help us grow as people and as professions.
Yeah. And so just to add on to that, to say anybody who's in a science career, who's wanting to grow and pursue new avenues, for me, this would be the heart of the work that we would do. But as part of the roadmap, we would also identify the other challenges that we're facing, the growth challenges that we're facing, or the skills that need to be built in order to achieve the goal that we're trying to achieve, and take a look at those as well. But I find in my work that I've done with students and clients that learning those skills, like the communication skills or data analysis skills, or whatever it might be, are usually not, people know that they can do that with practice and cognitive learning. And so those usually are not the things that are creating barriers to our growth. And it's usually not the reason why we're seeking help from somebody else to figure out what's stopping us from growing, or helping us figure out where it is that we want to go. And that's why I think it's really important to focus on the self as part of the leadership journey.
No, that sounds absolutely true to me. Well, thank you so much, Karen. So if anyone wants to reach out to you, you obviously will be part of our coaching network, so people can reach out to you through our website. But is there any other way that you would want people to reach out to you?
Yes, I'm going to send you my details, my phone number, email address, Facebook, Instagram, all of the handles. So it'll be easy for people to find me if they want to. And the process that I normally would go through with a client would be, we can have an introductory call just to get to know each other and see what's emerging and whether we'd be a good fit to work together. And then from there, we would plan a contract between us about how to proceed and how many sessions we think we'll need. And then lastly, what I like to do, what I'm hoping to do, I haven't started doing it specifically within these science coaching sessions yet, but is to create peer-to-peer coaching groups once you've graduated from the program, because I find that a very powerful way for people to keep growing and learning, is to just connect with a group of like-minded people who are also on a growth journey, and you'd be amazed at how much that group can learn from each other without anyone else around. So
no, that's absolutely sounds wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I will attach all the social media handles to this video so people can find you. And obviously, as I mentioned, you're going to be part of our coaching network. So you can find Karen contact details also for our website. Thank you so much, Karen, for today. Have a great day.
thank you. Thanks. I look forward to working with you more and seeing where this goes. I think it's such a needed program, a powerful tool, really for people in the science world who I see, a lot of young scientists really passionate about their careers, but just feeling really uncertain with how to shape them as they go forward. So yeah, I think it's great work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Thanks.